All right, what's up, guys? I think we're live. Chuck and Nick here for Game 5. We did get a Game 5. We all kind of thought a series was over, but now it's going to 7, right? How can it not? Nick, how we doing?
Good, man. I honestly think tonight is, I mean, it's easy to say this. If Dallas wins tonight, I think it does go seven. And if it ends tonight, I mean, it's over. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. We've had our takes throughout this tournament. Still feels like the Celtics series to lose, obviously, up 3-1. That's only been a mountain that's been climbed
Wait,
once
hold
before
on,
in the
Nick. I'm
finals.
sorry. Your
Oh, shoot.
audio isn't coming through.
I think I just put in a request to unmute. I don't know if it worked.
Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry about this. Not sure why that happened.
I can leave and come back.
Oh, this is cool. Nick, can you do me a favor and
Yeah.
leave and come back, maybe? Sorry about that, guys. Well, take a quick look at the model while I figure what's going on with Nick's audio. But Luca at the top again, Tatum, Brown, Kyrie. So last couple games, Kyrie was above Jalen Brown. I don't know if this has to do with Celtics being at home or what. But that's kind of interesting to note. Derek White's still up there. Drew, Al Horford. We did have. I
You
think
hear
we're
me
good.
now?
Okay, yeah, we're good, Nick. Sorry about that. I think that was my fault. But we're just looking over at the model, and the one thing that I noticed first is well, actually, sorry. Go ahead. Whatever you were saying, you were muted the whole time.
I mean, it wasn't anything as super substance. Obviously, it's a must win with the Mavs down 3-1. It does feel like if they can win tonight, though, and they do go back to Dallas, there's a really good chance of them extending it to seven. But yeah, man, still feels like the Celtics series. But yeah, plenty to talk about given the really strange outcome we had last time. Not only Dallas winning, but blowing out Boston.
Yeah, it just seemed like every player on Boston had a bad night. Like Tatum was the only one that looked okay. Jalen Brown was bad. Drew Holiday was bad, and Derek White was really, really bad. The thing with Derek White that I noticed is he doesn't seem aggressive at all. Like he could have Daniel Gafford guarding him on the perimeter, and he's just going to pass it to Tatum or Jalen Brown. He's not looking to attack. It seems like all his points are just coming from open jump shots.
Yeah, no, 2 for 8, not only from the field but also from three. So he only took threes that game, which I found interesting. And then he was 2 for 8 in total. So just terrible numbers, regardless. The worst plus minus, interestingly, was Drew though. In only 29 minutes, he was minus 38, which is kind of crazy to see, especially considering how good of a series he's had. But that does make you wonder. Maybe Dallas made some sort of adjustment on him, but I don't know. It kind of just seems like they came out flat. Thought they had the thing won. They were ready to celebrate, as Jay Kidd said, and Dallas wasn't quite ready to go away. I did notice Luka though less complaining when he was fouled, which obviously was a big narrative coming out of that third game. Maybe that's something that we see change moving forward. I don't know if it really changes much in terms of basketball. But yeah, good to see Luka kind of not complaining constantly, like we're watching the Euro final in soccer or something like that.
Well, the funny thing with Luca too is like he didn't look hurt anymore in Game 4. Like he looked like he's been hobbled for games 1 through 3, and then last game he just like I'm thinking of that one fast break where he just went immediately and threw the alley oop from half court to maybe Daniel Gafford,
Yeah,
and just Luca looked great.
yeah, he did, man.
So one thing I want to point out that's not going to show up in the model is in the builder we do have Kristaps for 1.2 minutes, OF index of zero point 0.4 in the utility. Just so you guys know, because we did get a note from the coaching staff or from someone underdog said anyway that Kristaps is expected to play off the bench. He won't have an official minutes limit per Coach Missoula. I mean,
Right.
what do we do with this information?
Yeah, it's tough to really say because last time they said that they would play him in certain scenarios. He didn't end up making it into the game. Obviously, the game was out of hand. There was no real reason to stretch him there. But yeah, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. Like this, him coming off the bench, yes, he probably checks in the game at some point. But even when he was healthy before this injury, he was kind of playing limited minutes. So it's tough to say, man. I mean, I don't know. I'm guessing he could play around the 21 that we saw earlier in the series. But again, this is entirely speculative. I have no firm stance on Porzingis minutes, but I do think that we need to get that 1.2 bumped up for sure in the model.
Yeah, I at least I'd like to see it at like at least like 11, so he shows up as something in the model. And it's funny because like using the builder to make lineups today, I got one Porzingis lineup and like why? But it had Dante Exum at captain, which is also my only Dante Exum captain lineup. So I thought that was interesting. I'm not playing that, but
Oh, I
uh,
hear you.
that is something that popped up. And so let's go ahead and take a look at. Well, let's look at the box score. I mean, I don't know that we're going to be able to do much with this since it was like a blowout from the beginning. I think the starters got pulled about 3 minutes with 3 minutes left in the third quarter. But I mean, is there anything that you noticed in the rotation from maybe the first half that we could, I don't know, do something with tonight? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Exum did play most of the second quarter. He hadn't been getting regular minutes, but we did see him get subbed in. I think he played, let's see
Let's
here,
see if I can.
almost 8 minutes. Yeah. And that was still in the first half before this game was completely out of hand. So it looks like maybe they are going to get him more involved in this rotation. I thought it was good to see Derek Jones get close to his full run before that game got out of hand. I thought an issue that they were having was getting THJ in too early the game prior. But then, of course, we're going to have to talk about Tim Hardaway going completely off in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't think they can just suddenly force him into the rotation here. I'm thinking that those minutes are going to go to Exum over Green based on what we saw last time out. But again, this is all speculation. Like with this coming off a blowout, it's really tough to put much weight into what we saw. But at the same time, excuse me, it'd be kind of silly to just say don't play THJ, knowing what he did last time out. And maybe if they really do need that scoring from him, they do get him in there if those minutes come with Luka and or Kyrie off the floor. So I don't know, man. What's your take here? Like I'm thinking we see more Exum than we've been seeing, less Josh Green. I'm still not very bullish on THJ, even though he had that ridiculous fourth quarter. But maybe I'm ignorant for that.
Well, I'm interested in Exum as like a punt piece. Like I mentioned, he was showing up at captain. I gave him a slight boost.
Mhm.
I do have a captain lineup with Exum that I am going to run, and it's basically like the obvious one, just with all the studs, not Kyrie. But yeah, I mean, with Tim Hardaway, it's tough because we've seen Jason Kidd switch up the rotation like 4 games in a row now, right?
Yeah.
And so I think Tim Hardaway's an okay punt. One thing I will say, he was in the winning lineup last time at 1% owned or 0.7% owned, I think. And that lineup still ended up being a pretty decent chop. Like it was chopped a lot of ways. I don't know exactly how many.
Mhm.
But it was one of the obvious lineups, I guess, that you could fit Tim Hardaway in as the punt. So just beware of that if you're going to play him tonight. I think it's okay to mix him in. I'm not thrilled about it, just like Nick's not. But with his price, he does allow some things, and he's probably not going to break another NBA Finals record for most threes in a quarter again. But I mean, it's just if he outscores the other bench guys, cheap bench guys, then that's going to be enough tonight.
Yeah. Ugh.
We got Jose, who's at the top of value, and what value player is getting the most minutes. I mean, it's tough because we don't know what the true rotations would have been in the last game, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do think Kleber is going to continue to play 20 plus. Do you want to roster him? Probably not. But to answer who's getting the most minutes for value for Dallas, I do think it's still probably him. I am kind of bullish on Exum here, which means that's going to cut into Green's minutes. So if anything, I'm kind of off Green for value. Not that we were super heavy on him prior to these last couple of games. Derek Jones Jr. played only 17 minutes, but a lot of that was because of blowout. He's another guy who's affordable. Not sure we're calling him true value where he's priced, but yeah, man. I mean, it's tough. What we can do, I think, with a little bit more confidence, is just go right back to these bigs on DK. I mean, Gafford
Mm-hmm.
is what 4,200, Lively's 54. I'd be fine playing both of them in a lineup. I think if this game's competitive, they're both going to play 20 plus minutes. I mean, Lively's been playing a few more, but Gafford's been super productive with his. On FanDuel, it's tougher. I mean, they got Lively priced up to 10K now, which kind of feels insane. So yeah, don't love them as value as much over on FanDuel, but on DK, I do think those bigs for Dallas make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and the last thing I want to point out with this rotation is I just see a comment in the chat that that Lively should be starting. I'm okay with what Jason Kidd did if he's just going to check Lively in 2.5 minutes into the game anyway. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know that that actually matters, but I don't know something about keeping the rhythm of the starters versus the bench. Because I mean, Lively got way more minutes in the last game anyway, and Gafford would have seen another rotation if the game was within reach. But yeah, I'm gonna be all over Lively again tonight. I've been playing around with some lively captain lineups because he's a little bit cheaper than that range that I've mostly been in. But most of my lineups today, it looks like I'm still ending up on like the same captains: Luca, Jalen Brown, D. White, Drew Holiday, Al Horford, and then it looks like some Derek Lively is going to be mixed in there too. What do you think about that on DraftKings?
Yeah, I think again, like all series, we've been kind of preaching go a little bit more balanced, which kind of does entail those mid-range captains. I will say maybe Horford. I don't know. It seems like he's not that popular a captain, so I don't want to talk you off of him. I know we were super super bullish on him though
Yeah.
coming into this game. It does sound like Porzingis probably gets close to 20 minutes. Again, I'm not basing this on anything other than just speculation. But obviously, that would cut into Horford if that were the case. If Horford was more popular, I'd kind of take more of a firm stance there, kind of getting away from him. But once again, we're seeing 5% captain for him, which to me, even with Porzingis is too low. Um, and yeah, I mean Washington in that range, I think is really solid. I do prefer Lively to Gafford once again, but you're going to have to pay a bit more of a premium. But I'm with you, man. I think the mid range is kind of the spot to be. And I will say, with the Celtics going back to the Garden, maybe we can start the fade Kyrie thing again. I don't know how severe these splits are going to continue for him for his career, but I mean, you pull back his stats to when he was with the Nets. I mean, even regular season games with Dallas, he just hasn't been playing good basketball in the Garden, and I don't know if that's going to hold. Obviously, he has a lot of momentum now coming in here, but if anything, maybe that puts me on more PJ Washington, a little bit less Kyrie. Still going to be loading up on Luca regardless, but I do think there is something to be said for his splits when he is playing in Boston.
Yeah, I mentioned on the stream I did with Jayhawk for Game 4 that I wasn't fading Kyrie like I was, or in Game 3 too. But the previous game played some Kyrie, and I mean, I don't know if he ended up being in the winner because no one really scored that many fantasy points. But I did point out that Jalen Brown is above Kyrie in the model today. We saw it flipped the other time, so it's just interesting to note.
Yeah.
I mean, the spread we're at 7 points right now. It's basically the same from the first two games. I mean, do you have anything interesting there?
No, I mean I want it to be competitive. I think Boston probably gets it done tonight, but I don't know, man. It's just really tough to say. Like it's been very much in seasons past. Like it's tough to really put too much into these finals. But like when teams are back and forth, like usually you see these really close series, but none of the games are close. And like I think that's kind of what we've been seeing here, even though Boston's been dominant. I think Boston probably covers the spread, probably gets it done here. Dallas probably keeps it close at least into the third, but they're gonna have to get their 3 points shots up tonight. That's really gonna be the difference here. I also wanted to see what the officiating crew was. I know they brought in Foster last game. Didn't matter. I mean, Dallas kind of played Boston off the floor, but I would be interested to see who the refs are, if it's a pretty neutral group or if there was anyone kind of standing out, whether it's like a Brothers or Foster, etc. Again, we're just really kind of nitpicking for angles here because I don't know. Most of what we have is what we're going to get, so it's
Yeah.
tough to find edge. So I mean, I'll hunt a little deeper, get a little bit weirder with things in terms of what I'm factoring into my decisions. But yeah, as of right now, man, I have to think Boston closes it out at home here.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And I tried to look up the officials and on NBA.com doesn't list them yet. And yeah, like you just said, it's tough to talk about the same exact matchup. Prices are basically the same 5 games in a
Right?
row.
Yeah.
Um, But you guys have any questions? Go ahead, throw them in the chat. We'll be here another 15 to 20 minutes. I want to go into that value question a little deeper because we
Yeah.
start the model by value. We have Gafford at 18 minutes, and he's going to show up at the top. And then, like, right below him, yeah, it's all the captains that I like: Drew Holiday, Derek White, Al Horford, PJ Washington, Kyrie, and Tatum, all above 8. And so, anything here?
Um. Wait, what was the question exactly? What do I
Uh,
like above the value or?
or just, I guess, well, like, who's top of value, and it's these guys. And then, I guess, I mean, which bench guys are you going to go to more? I know it's a little bit different on FanDuel.
Yeah, FanDuel it's tougher because they price Lively up. But I mean, like interestingly enough, like I don't know. I don't even know that you need to go to the bench guys because you have really cheap starters and guys like Jones. Derek Jones is cheap. Where is he? Exum's only 6,500. So like you don't necessarily need a lot of him. I think he's going to be something I use to kind of open things up for me. Again, the pricing in general on FanDuel is softer. I don't like that they price Lively up, but you could pretty easily fit two of the stars, being one of Brown Tatum with Luca. Obviously, we're getting a little bit away from Kyrie here tonight. So just going to maybe like a Washington in that third spot or a Horford if you believe in him, White Drew, etc. Like you don't have to get too weird with the value. So I'm probably going to mix in some Exum. I think the minutes he's been playing have been much more productive than what we've seen from Josh Green. Derek Jones Jr., I know he hasn't been great in terms of fantasy production. He's another guy in that kind of lower mid range, especially on FanDuel. I have some interest in. But yeah, DK again, man. I think you're right to go kind of mid range captain and just kind of build that way. Try to avoid these pieces as much as possible. I will just name drop Hauser here. He has been playing better basketball. Didn't look great in that last game. Not really many Celtics did, but he still scored 14 points in 20 minutes in that game that they got blown out. So if I'm looking for something in that range, obviously he's scoring dependent, wide range of outcomes, but he's flashed the upside more so than a lot of the other guys in his price range. So I like Exum. He's risky. Hauser probably a little bit safer if you can find the 1K on FanDuel. But those are two names I definitely have circled. And then Lively big time over on DK.
Yeah, it looks like Lively is going to be the biggest value on DK. And looking at these ownerships, I think he came in twice this last game. Ownerships were kind of off, and they're going to be off for everyone. But I'd be like, Lively's not going to come in at 21% in the utility. He's probably going to be double that this game. So just
Right.
keep that in mind. Jose is asking who's your favorite captain tonight, Nick?
Yeah, on FanDuel, it's going to be Luca again, just because I think it's so easy to fit him. I mean, he's still 2 points higher in OF index than Tatum and Brown. And then on DK, it's a bit of a hot take, but I think it is going to be Lively, actually. I just like what you're able to fit with him. I could see maybe going to Washington, and these are lineups without Kyrie that definitely have Luca in utility. Probably can jam Tatum and Brown together with those guys. But yeah, for me, it's Luca on FanDuel pretty firmly. And then I'm probably going to go to someone like Lively or Washington on DK. Washington doesn't feel good, I'll admit it. That's more of a high risk, really large field tournament type play. And if you want to go to Boston, I do think probably Drew in that range makes sense, but he's a little bit more expensive.
I like it. And so one of the issues I was having with the Lively lineups that I'm getting on DraftKings is I'm leaving enough salary over where I'll have like Derek White and or Drew Holiday in the flex, and I can just put Derek White in the captain and Lively in the flex, and so it's like, is Lively going to outscore Derek White again? Because if I'm playing Derek White in the flex, I'm not thinking he's going to score 14 fantasy points again, right? And
Right.
so that's just something to watch out for with like leaving a little bit too much salary. Like, does this make sense? And then one other thing I wanted to talk about was I think you kind of mentioned this a little bit the last time we streamed together was Gafford and Lively in the same lineup.
Mhm.
And I think you were okay with it in the flex, and it's funny because using the builder, like half of my Lively captain lineups had Gafford in the flex, and I don't want to set a rule to not let that happen, but
Right.
definitely go through and make sure that that's not like all your Lively captain depends on Gafford also getting minutes, right?
Yeah, yeah. And a few things to say off of that. First and foremost, I'm comfortable having them in lineups together. Like you said, I wouldn't want them in 100 of my lineups together, but in terms of value, they're both going to score really well on DK. I do prefer Lively of the two, but we have to keep in mind these good Lively games we've been getting have come with Porzingis off the floor. He's had a lot of issues defending against him. It's gotten him in foul trouble. It's kind of taken his mind out of the game offensively. Not that KP's really slowing him down on the other end, but yeah, I still feel the same way. I think if KP plays, it kind of cancels out that maybe Lively isn't as effective, but they're going to need more minutes from both bigs. So yeah, I still like both of them here, and I know we're getting a ton of KP questions. Personally, if I had to guess, I'd say yes, he plays, and if it's a competitive game, somewhere between 16 and 22 minutes, I think he at least checks in after that first rotation where Al comes out. Um, but yeah, not enough that I want to play Porzingis, but I do think he's going to be on the floor here.
So I will point out, if you missed the beginning of the show, we do have Porzingis for 1.2 minutes. He's not meeting the threshold to show up in the model, but we do have him playing. And I'm actually on the opposite side of that. I don't think Porzingis plays at all tonight, so I'm still going to make no
Wow.
adjustments. But if you think he's playing, then I'm not playing Porzingis either way. But just how it would affect the rest of the lineup and what it's going to do with matchups on the other side.
Yeah, it's funny too. Isn't there like a Woj versus Shams thing going on here with the Porzingis injury? Like, didn't Shams say he was going to play? Woj said he was definitely done for the season, and like, I don't know. It's a really stupid angle for me to even bring up. I know, but yeah, it kind of does seem like that's part of it. Like this whole like reporter beef going on. I don't know. Again, I'm grasping at straws here.
Well, I mean, like you said, any information that we can get beyond what we have, the minutes played per game, stuff like that. If you can use it, then use it if other people aren't.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Jose, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I'm gonna try to run some searches on Twitter and stuff and see if I could get any beat reporter stuff beyond what we have on Porzingis. But go ahead.
Jose's asking who are the last four winning captains. Off the top of my head, Al Horford, Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, and last game, who was the winning captain last game? Was it just Luca?
I mean, unless someone built with THJ and Jam the Studs, probably.
Yeah, THJ captain. Yeah, I know THJ was in the flex. Yeah, I'm guessing Luca. It was someone expensive. Probably just whoever scored the most fantasy points in the last game.
Yeah.
But it's been different every game. So
Yeah, and I'm sitting here right now. I got to search up for Porzingis. Chris Forsberg, who's a local beat reporter here, shooting his warm up. I mean, he's taking layups, dropping back, shooting threes, going spot to spot. He looks okay. Um, he is dressed. He did show up to the arena in a green suit, which shows maybe he means business. I don't know, man. Again, we're really like reaching on some of this stuff, but yeah, he is doing his full regular warm up right now. He's doing much more than they said they've seen him do to this point since the injury. Um, but yeah, I mean, a lot of the beat reporters are acting like he's probably going to see the floor here. He did an
okay.
extensive pregame warm up. He's been out for 10 plus minutes, seems to be moving well. Um, it's a lot of the same footage of him hitting shots, taking layups, doing a little bit of running up and down the floor. But yeah, I don't know that he'd go through a full warm up like this if he wasn't going to play at all. And he's hitting threes like from the logo, so he looks okay from what I'm seeing.
All right, all right. So we got to make some decisions
I'm not
here.
saying play him. I'm just saying maybe it takes you a little bit off Horford and could affect the big stuff for Dallas more than anything. But I don't know. What's he priced at? Because like I haven't even considered playing him
To
until right
see
now.
8K in utility.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd
Yeah.
rather play White, Drew, or Al, or find 1K for Kyrie. Like, yeah, I don't think I'm getting there.
Yeah, because the other thing is like, let's say Kristaps does get 20 minutes. Like we know Derek White and Drew Holiday are playing 40, and so Kristaps has to basically double their fantasy points per minute to be a better play. And just checking, we do have Kristaps projected for 0% ownership. So
Yeah, man. It's tough. Like, the only game he was really useful in DFS was that game one, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah, when he went off, and I'm pretty sure I was already off of him in game one, and he just happened to shoot like prime Dirk.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But where
Uh,
he's priced, like if he was half that, we'd have more of a conversation, I think. But yeah, where he's priced, I still don't think I'd get there. And on FanDuel too, he's very expensive. He's more expensive than White and Holiday. Um,
oh, Kristaps is showing up in the mall. Refresh. We haven't projected for 6 minutes now, so
slowly creeping up. Yeah,
so again, we get our minutes projections from a third party provider. We're not sitting here going, I think he plays this many minutes game to game. And so that just tells like the market is more bullish on Kristaps playing now. So as long as this doesn't hit like 20 plus in the next hour, I'm still not gonna do much with it.
yeah,
And six, it was Irving in the lottery tourney. Yeah, thanks for that. I pulled the
nice.
lineup up. Irving at captain with Luca Tatum, Derek Lively, Sam Hauser, and Tim Hardaway in the flex. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I
this.
I do want to touch on James's comment here about Exum's minutes too coming off the
Mhm.
model as well. So yeah, I mean, I honestly think he's probably going to play more than six. Like to me, we're looking at 16 to 18. But again, we have nothing firm to base this on other than he's been playing better than Josh Green has recently. So I don't know. Say they kind of switch roles here. I still think Green probably checks in ahead of him, but we have Green for 18.4 minutes, Exum for only six. Like, it's not going to shock me if that flips. Am I confident to say that's going to flip entirely? No. But I don't know. I think they've gotten better minutes out of Exum than what they've been getting out of Green. Um, so for me, if I'm J Kidd, I'm trying to get X and more run here. Maybe the model doesn't quite get to that point because all the data suggests he's not going to play. But just kind of going off what we've seen recently, I do think it would make sense for him to get closer to that 16 number.
Yeah, so we can look at the rotation in the first half. Josh Green did check in halfway through the first quarter, got a pretty good stint, and then Dante Exum started the second quarter, played 8 minutes in a row. Didn't come in the third quarter until 1.5 minutes. Who knows how many more minutes he would have gotten in the fourth if it wasn't for blowout. He did get a little, or I guess he checked in the blowout
Yeah,
run. So that's kind of interesting that he didn't get in before that in the second half. But they did have Luka and Kyrie on the court the whole quarter.
right. That's why it's like impossible to read because, like, yes, I still think Green's going to check in ahead of him, but at the corner or at the end of the quarter, I do think Exum checks in and then plays deep into the second. And even in a competitive game, if that weren't a blowout, I think we would have seen him check in at that fourth quarter mark, maybe get pulled a little bit earlier, but that has him right around 14 to 15 minutes. So, again, this is all speculation. Jason Kidd has a mind of his own depending how the game's flowing too. Like if they're way up, it could change things. If they're way down, it could change things. Like if they're way down, you got to get Hardaway in there firing threes, and that probably cuts into both these guys. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways this can go. I'm just looking for edge, and I don't trust much of the value tonight. So why not take another guy who not only I don't trust, but the field doesn't trust in a low Dante Exum, and he's a little bit cheaper too, so you could fit a little bit more. So I'm not like, oh yes, Exum's going to be great tonight. He's going to play 20 minutes and do really well. I just think there's enough for me to kind of take that kind of bull case and run with it a little bit. And maybe it burns me, but again, we're talking about the same games every stream, five in a row. We got to look for ways to get different, and I think he's just one little way to maybe do it here.
I do agree. I would be okay doubling this and giving X some 13 minutes. The question is, who's it taking minutes away from? We have Derek Jones for 24.
I think Green.
Josh Green, take away from that 18 minutes. Yeah,
That's my
that makes
guess. Yeah,
sense.
and Kleber's been playing 20 plus a game too. I don't know if they need to keep that up.
Yeah, at least he finally shot some threes. I think he made them too.
Yeah, everyone was making them for Dallas last game.
Yeah,
But
Maxi Kleber. Oh, he was 1 for 1. So I mean, we'll take it.
that's more than he's been today.
But like this score, I mean, 5 points, 1 steal, an assist, and a rebound. I mean, yeah, you want more in 23 minutes, but if it's a close game, that could be the best performing punt. So, but Dante Exum, man, 10 points, a steal, 2 rebounds. Yeah, this is really good.
Yeah, for sure.
Luca captain, Exum lock. Gafford's looking at 13 minutes or less. So here's the thing: he played 10, but he didn't get a fourth quarter rotation. So I'd be surprised. Like I would take the over on 13 minutes. I might take the under on 18 minutes though. But again, the thing is, how much is Porzingis going to affect Lively being on the court?
Right, exactly. Yeah, if Lively's getting the fouls on him, he has 3.5. We're going to see a lot more Gafford than maybe we want to.
And James, does Tillman get off the bench? So last game, when there was like this Porzingis uncertainty, I said that I still think Tillman gets that first quarter rotation. He did, but the other question was how much production is he going to have, even if he gets that rotation? Because Tillman played 7 minutes, went 1 for 2, 3 points, an assist, a rebound. I mean, that's not getting it done. And so, again, it just how does it affect the rest of the rotation? I don't know that I'm interested in playing Tillman as a DFS play today.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at that first half rotation, I think usually when Porzingis comes in is where Tillman came in.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that when Al comes out, we do see Porzingis check in. It's interesting too. Missoula's big reason for playing Tillman was because he used to play in the division against the Mavericks. He's familiar with them from his time on the Grizzlies, which I thought was funny, but really not the best reason to be playing someone in the finals, in my opinion. But yeah, I think if Porzingis is in, we're going to see even less Tillman unless the game were to blow out. So I probably wouldn't go there.
Do you remember when Tillman was a smash DFS play when he was starting on the
Yes.
Grizzlies? Like
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
expecting 30 plus every night, and now he's min priced playing for the Celtics in the finals, can barely get backup minutes behind Al Horford.
Yeah, once Adams went down, and then whenever Jackson would be out,
Hmm.
he'd be the man. And yeah, they were like marketing their young core at one point too, like him and Ja and like Bane. Like he
Hmm.
was part of their marketing campaigns. I mean, he's a talented player in certain situations. It's just like I don't know.
He's only
Boston just has
25.
yeah. I mean, he could get there. He could be a good player, but like Boston's just so deep, man. I mean, compared to other
Yeah,
teams, like, do you really want to give less minutes to your studs? Like for probably not.
right. Especially now where today's probably the last game of the season.
Probably. Maybe we could jinx this into another game, but
I mean, at this point, I'm pretty indifferent. Wouldn't mind. Actually, I probably want another game.
how's
It's
your best
okay.
ball doing?
Well, Drew, Drew and Derek White both did terribly. So I'm in 10th place right now. 10th pays 5K, 11th pays 2.5K. And so coming into the finals, I just wanted 10th or better. So just please hold 10th or
Yeah.
better. So I need B
Big game
White and
from
Drew
Drew and
Holiday.
White tonight. Yeah. Okay.
Hopefully, yeah. Their Vegas lines are still pretty decent. Like they haven't depressed that much. Derek White's points and rebounds lines are still fine. Drew Holiday's lines are still fine. So I
Yeah.
mean, Vegas still thinks that they have good games.
I think they do too. I mean, we had a floor game out of Drew last time, and White just wasn't shooting the ball. So
He looks scared out there. Like back to what I was touching on earlier. This dude, like, how do you have a PJ Washington or Daniel Gafford guarding you and not just ISO?
yeah, man, I don't know. That's weird.
So, if you guys have any last second questions, we're going to get out of here in just a minute. Is there anything else that we missed or you want to touch on?
No, like I said, for the most part on DK, I'm going balanced, trying to avoid some of this value. I'll take my shots on Exium. If you're playing a bunch of lineups, I could see maybe getting to THJ. Definitely don't look at that box score, though, and expect that production to get replicated. Again, he only played because of blowout. He played the entire fourth quarter, had no minutes prior to that. I am very interested to see what the wing rotation does look like for Kidd. I think Green probably comes in first. If I had it my way, it would be Exum, but we'll wait and see. And I do think they need to keep getting Jones minutes. On the Celtics side, it's all KP. It's like, are we going to see him tonight? What's he going to do? And maybe if Boston pulls away early, we see, I don't know, competition between Tatum and Brown to take home that MVP. Maybe they're taking more shots than usual. I don't know. Kind of something I was looking out for last game. I wasn't on the stream, but I don't know. We kept hearing these stories about how Curry was sad that KD was going to win the last Finals MVP when they were
Mm-hmm.
together, and KD just like stopped shooting to try to give him a chance, and he still won it anyway. Dude, hilarious stuff. Again, the consider the source though. It's like coming from Nick Young, and like I don't know. You really can't trust anything these guys are saying some of the time. But I don't know. Maybe we get the Brown versus Tatum show in the third and fourth quarters. They're competing for that. Probably not. Yeah, man, it should be a fun game. Definitely think Porzingis plays. How many minutes? We'll have to wait and see. But pretty fun slate overall. And yeah, maybe we'll see each other on this again in a couple of days. Maybe we won't.
I will say it's pretty funny. Tatum saying he does not care at all if he wins Finals MVP because most players saying that I wouldn't believe him, but I actually kind of believe Tatum saying
Yeah.
he doesn't care because I mean, if he really wanted Finals MVP, he probably could have went and got it himself.
Yeah, and like if you see all the mic'd up stuff too, and more of this will come out after the series, it's Brown who's the vocal leader. Like he is in everyone's ear. He's talking to everyone all the time. Like Tatum's just like it's he talks like a role player half the time. It's really funny. Obviously he's super talented, but yeah, it does feel like Brown's team. And when Marcus Smart was there, it felt like his team. So Tatum's never been that vocal leader. Maybe that kind of backs up. When he says he doesn't want the Finals MVP, you kind of feel that he's just a team guy, and I guess that's okay.
Soft.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
Kobe would never,
Oh, Kobe would never, bro.
and that's
No.
his idol. Like, man, I mean, I don't know.
Will Horford have a good game? I will say his PRA today, points, rebounds, assists, is at 17 and a half. Basically, it's not favored to the over or under. And so I don't know. Is that a good game? Throwing a couple blocks and steals.
He's got to shoot more to have a good game. I mean, like, you could say
Yeah.
this about almost every single Celtics player. I mean, they just weren't taking shots. Like, a lot of that's credit to the Dallas defense, but I mean, at least fire the ball and just hope it goes in. They again 1 for 1 from Warford in 23 minutes. That's not acceptable at all.
He's not even getting rebounds like that.
Right, man. I know. I had like a same game parlay. I needed like 5 rebounds from him, and that was the one like that didn't hit, which was obnoxious. But yeah, I don't know. I'm fine playing Horford at his price at reasonable ownership. I think I'd rather go to the guards if you're in that range, or I'd rather go to Lively. But yeah, Horford's fine. I'm not going to talk anyone off playing him.
And last question from Jose is both White and Holiday playing 40 minutes. I would expect them to. We have White for 39, Drew for 40 and a half.
Yep.
And I said something like this last game, like they're going to play, if it's 20-point game with 3 minutes left, they're probably still on the court. I didn't expect a 40-point game in the third quarter, so that really cut down their playing time. But I think if Boston is up by a bunch in the fourth quarter, they're not pulling their starters until it's like 100,000% they're going to win the game, right? So like a couple
Oh yeah.
minutes left, even if it's 30 points. And so I would feel very, very good about Derek White and Drew Holiday playing full minutes because it doesn't seem like they really want to give Peyton Pritchard any chance to do anything.
No, totally agree.
Great show. Thanks for your time. Hey, thanks for your time. Appreciate you guys watching. Good luck tonight. Enjoy the game. Maybe we'll get another one, maybe not, but we'll see you guys.
Take care, everyone.